You are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In podcast by Nurse Junior and Anthony.
You are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In podcast by Nurse Junior, and to the right of me, or left of me actually. Goddamn.
You got Nurse Anthony, baby. Welcome. Welcome.
It's fine. We keeping it. We need the laughs. To the left of me. To the left of me. To the viewers, I think it is.
It might be.
It is. Whatever. Y'all can figure it out. But anyways.
I'm beside him.
Yeah, right? He's beside me. That's all that matters. We on episode 2 right now.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think if y'all have seen episode 1 and y'all watching this, that means y'all must have enjoyed what y'all seen. So a lot to talk about. Not a lot to talk about today. We're gonna keep this episode a bit short, honestly. But for the most part, we're just going to talk about a few situations that we've seen, read about, or even heard about in the healthcare professional world.
Right.
And I think the first thing that I stumbled across or actually heard of was these phony nurses or phony healthcare professionals.
Yeah. I heard about this.
Man, during the pandemic, it was really a problem. But I think, a little bit after the pandemic, I think that's when people really picked up on it and noticed that, is this person really a nurse or?
Well, I just think during the pandemic, though, it was just so chaotic.
Mayhem.
Like, just crazy. Everyone was trying to get nurses. Nurses are trying to get jobs and make a ton of money, and everyone was traveling somewhere, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I think what it comes down to, as you probably know, and a lot of the viewers, if you don't know, you're about to know, around this time, there was a shortage of nurses. The pandemic hit.
Sure.
And they were trying to recruit as much nurses as they could, these agencies.
Right.
I think the government had like millions, maybe even billions that they were giving to different agencies.
I don't
and
even want to know.
Man, you gonna know.
I don't even want to know the amount of money that was tossed around.
There were so many agencies that were created at this time. There was Crucial Staffing, Favorite, Snap Nurse, so many.
So many.
And each of these agencies were getting millions to pay nurses to fly down to Texas, Louisiana, multiple states just to help out with what was going on.
Right.
Honestly, I look at it right now, we were being pimped.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
We were being pimped. Like, I got flued out. I feel like a goddamn city girl.
They put you up. They flew you out.
They fed me.
They fed you.
Gave me a stipend. I felt like a goddamn city girl.
They gave you an allowance. Oh, my God.
They pimped me out.
They took care of you, bro.
But I didn't care.
Yeah,
as long as I was getting paid.
That's it, baby.
But there's this one story, actually. There's this one homegirl that I met in Texas. I'm not going to say her name, confidentiality. Yeah. But little wink right there. Yeah. But she, I would see her in the lobby sometimes whenever I get food. And there was a situation at work where she came up to me and she said, Junior, can I ask your advice? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's good? She goes, there was a situation at work today where a nurse asked me how to start the blood pressure machine.
That's a crazy question, bro.
Very crazy, right?
Yeah.
So for y'all that don't know who aren't in the healthcare field, think of like back in the day in the 80s, you probably had to do like a 2-step blood pressure read.
Right.
Where you have a stethoscope in your ear.
Right.
The little rubber ball that's connected to the wheelie.
Right.
And you're actually doing it manually, pumping. And then you're like dialing down on the blood pressure cuff to hear that first speed and when it ends. That will pretty much tell you your systolic, which is your top number of your blood pressure when the heart contracts. And then when you don't hear it, the last beat, that's the diastolic. So that's when the heart relaxes. That's your bottom number.
Right.
So diastolic is the top. Systolic is the top. Diastolic is the bottom. So that was back in the 80s, 70s. As technology got better, we kind of transitioned over to digital.
Right.
Where you connect the cuff on the arm, press the button, and it takes it for you automatically.
That's right.
So when she told me this, I'm like, what? Yeah. She asked you how to use the blood pressure machine? Like, what kind of hospital is this?
And what's crazy is on the cuff, it tells you where to line up the cuff on the arm.
Right, because it has that arrow.
That's right.
You align it to the brachial.
That's right. So you know exactly where to put it.
Bingo.
Right.
Funny enough, she said that it was on backwards. Like it was upside down.
Right.
So the arrow was pointing up and then the wires coming like this. So I was like, she told me that part too. I'm like, yo, that's insane.
That's insane.
So she taught her, like, she was like, yeah, you just, you hook it up. You actually have it upside down. She fixed it, pressed the button and goes, that's how you get the blood pressure.
Yeah.
So she found that very odd, honestly.
Bro, that's like day one stuff.
That's
like
basic.
Day one.
That's like what they teach you in the first day of like clinicals
right.
or health assessment class.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm like, yeah, that's odd. That's very odd. So she was like, you know what? I didn't really say anything to anybody. I just kept it to myself and I kept it pushing. I'm just here to get my money, Junior. I'm like,
right.
Good. Get your money. So now we fast forward to maybe, I think the next day or the day after. There was a situation where the doctor goes to that specific phony nurse, hey, I need a urine sample and I need you to send it stat to the lab.
Yeah.
So she's telling me about this story now. And I'm like, what happened now? So this is what happened. Oh, no. She gets the urine. She gets it in a specific way. I'll explain in a little bit. She gets the urine, sends it down to the lab, comes back, and then from there she tells everybody, hey, I'm going on break. Can y'all watch my patients? Da-da-da. Yeah, sure, fine, whatever, cool, do your thing. We here. Now, 5-10 minutes later after she goes to break, one of the lab techs from, the lab comes out and goes, hey, we got a patient by the name of D.W. Reed, for example. Let's go Arthur. D.W. Reed. D.W. Reed. We got a patient here, D.W. Reed. Who's the nurse for that patient?
Yeah.
That was so-and-so, but she's on break right now. What can we do? Well, the doctor ordered a urine culture and everything like that. And most of y'all that don't know, urine culture pretty much, they run that to see if there's any infection, if you're diabetic, kidney stones, something, find any abnormalities, essentially. Sexually transmitted disease, that sort of stuff.
Right. So
now the tech goes, who's the nurse? Oh, she's on break, but what can we help you with? Well, she brought down the specimen, rang the bell, and walked out, but she put it in a styrofoam cup with the lid, with like a plastic lid over it. Like it was goddamn fruit punch. As you know, urine is sterile. You don't want to get anything, you don't want to dirty it.
Right.
False positives, whatever.
Right.
So you're supposed to put it in like a urine specimen.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's seen the cup with the orange lid. There's other types of urine specimen cups, but that's
right. And then the sticker goes right on it inside like a specimen bag. Zip it up, and you take it down to the lab, and they do their thing.
Right.
She did the complete opposite, like styrofoam cup. I don't even think she put it in a bag. So at this point, everyone's just like, what? The nurse that my homegirl was talking to me about it, and she was like, at the moment, she was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Something's up.
She's definitely not a nurse.
Yeah.
Then in the background, there's another nurse that goes, I knew it. See, I told you she wasn't a nurse. I should have put money on it. I'm like, yo, this story is ridiculous. Now, it gets crazier because now they told the manager about it. They told the physician. They kind of talk about it for a little bit, and the manager goes, oh, where's she at? Like, she's in the break room. Now, she comes out from the break room. She thinks everything's sweet.
Everything's straight.
She's making her money. She's racking it up.
Yeah.
But she sees the group of people, and my guessing is, okay, something's going on if the manager is here, the physicians. Right. So
she's probably thinking, who's in trouble?
Yeah, who's in trouble? And it might be me right now because I'm a phony. I'm a fake. I'm an imposter. And the manager goes, hey, can I talk to you in the office? Bring your stuff with you and meet me in my office. Let's talk. So now I think maybe the flag.
Oh, for sure.
The alarm's ringing in her head like,
100%.
Yeah, something's up. So she gets her stuff and, she goes, does whatever, she goes to the office, maybe, whatever. 15 minutes later, the manager comes out and goes, have y'all seen so-and-so? She didn't come into my office. Bro, she booked it.
That's crazy.
She got
bro.
the hell out of the hospital.
That is insane, bro.
Her spidey senses were tingling. She got the hell out of there.
Yeah, she knew.
She knew. So at this point, when she told me the story, and I kind of remember the day because there were these officers that came to the hotel that we were all staying at the Sheraton in downtown Dallas.
Yeah.
They came into the hotel and they went into her room. Her room was empty.
Oh, she was out,
She
bro.
was out of there, like no trace. So
That's crazy.
who knows where she's at? Maybe she's working in another facility right now under that
She's
Phony
gotta be,
license.
bro.
But that was one crazy story that I had to share. The pandemic was crazy, man. A lot of people had some crazy thought processes and ideas that they.
You know what it is? I think people were just trying to cash in, though, bro.
They were.
You know,
they were. I think that's what it was. And honestly, I'm sure she cashed in a good week's worth of pay.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did, bro.
But yeah. So yeah. So like I said, this is episode 2. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, DM us any questions or any stories that you may have, and obviously confidentiality. We won't say who you are.
Of course.
But, we'll talk about it and discuss it on the podcast.
Of course.
But this goes back to like now with the phony fake nurses. There was a lot of them, man.
A lot.
There was an operation that was done a little bit after the pandemic called Project Florence Nightingale or Project Nightingale.
This, you know what's crazy about this project is if someone told me, guess where this happened, it would be my first guess, bro.
It would be?
It would be my first guess anytime something crazy happens that I can't possibly believe, this is the place I guess every time.
Yep, and that place would be Florida. If you were trying to figure that out.
Every time.
So
and I don't know what it is about Florida. I don't know if it's the heat, it's the humidity. It gets the people over there.
It gets them.
Something's happening over there, man.
It's the water. It's the water. So to put it into perspective for y'all that don't know, and I'm sure a lot of Canadian nurses don't know about this. I mean, if you worked in America, you probably might have heard about it. If you're in Florida, you definitely heard about it. But
sure.
So about 7,600 fake nursing diplomas were issued by 3 South Florida-based nursing schools: Siena College in Broward, Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach County, and Sacred Heart International Institute in that sounds fake.
That
too.
Sounds super. I'm listening to you, and I'm like,
the first 2 were kind of legit, but that third one.
If I am in an office at the CNO and someone is trying to acquire a nursing license in Ontario, and they tell me they're from the what?
What was it? Sacred Heart International Institute. Too many words at that point.
We don't believe you.
Yep. Go back.
Yeah. Flag on the play. Something's wrong here.
Yeah, penalty 1.
That's it, baby. Oh,
insane.
My God.
And each defendant faces up to 20 years in prison.
That is crazy.
So this is a big safety concern.
Absolutely. How many? 6,700 nurses?
76.
76.
Yeah.
76 or 7,600?
7,600, sorry.
That's
7,600.
crazy, man.
Insane. So not only is this a public safety concern, it also tarnishes the reputation of nurses who actually complete the demanding clinical and coursework
Absolutely
required to obtain their professional licenses and employment in the U.S.
That's crazy, man.
They got the FBI on this. Like, this is a big thing. They shut down the schools, and I think till this day they're still hunting down some of the nurses out of the 7,600. They caught a few.
Old girl from Texas was definitely in that.
She was
definitely
in
Sacred
the mix.
Heart, bro.
She went to Sacred Heart. She had the cup upside down and shit.
That's how they do things in Sacred Heart, man. Oh my
do things
God.
differently in Sacred Heart.
That's crazy, bro.
It's insane, honestly. But yeah, they paid, I don't know how much, but they paid an X amount of money just to speed up the process. And you got to think about it like this too, right? Once you get that diploma, you got to write the NCLEX.
That's right.
So how the hell did they pass the NCLEX?
So this is what we need to understand, though. Did they pass the NCLEX?
I mean, if they got the job, they must have written it.
Because my thing is, let's say these schools are handing out diplomas. Odds are they probably know somebody somewhere in Pearson, which is where you write the NCLEX, that can give them this. If you're paying for these,
Right.
I guess
No, for sure.
Fraud cases.
There's
right?
got to be somebody within the mix that focuses on that aspect.
There is no way you didn't go to school. You don't put that much effort to studying or whatever. Like, there is a lot to know in the NCLEX, man.
A lot. 265 or 275 max questions.
That's what I'm saying.
75 is the minimum. But yeah, once you graduate nursing school, you get a diploma. You write the NCLEX. Once you pass that, they give you like your license.
That's right.
Which is actually currently, they can mail it to you or it can be digitally emailed to you as well.
That's
too.
right.
So they give you both.
That's right.
It's not that hard to Photoshop
For sure.
a nursing not degree, but the
actual license. That's right. You just change the numbers around a little bit. It's very simple. For sure.
Now, it's on the agency to type in that individual's name in the database, depending on what state or what country they're in. Type in the name and see if they're actually within the system.
That's right.
And what I actually learned these days, there's a lot of nurses that have common names with one another.
Yeah.
For example, Ashley Smith.
Right.
Or Bridget Henderson.
That's right.
There's probably thousands of Bridget Hendersons, and out of those thousands, there's probably a few that are nurses.
For sure.
So it's not that hard to type in that name, see what state they're from, and steal their information.
Absolutely.
Because you share the same name with them.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what it is. It gets very deep when you think about it. It's not that hard to do, honestly speaking.
No, I don't think it is either.
But I think these agencies, they weren't doing their due diligence and actually
Again, it just comes down to, during the pandemic, man, it was just, there was such a need for nurses. I just don't think
they cared.
They didn't care. Like, they just had to get bodies in hospitals.
You provide the bodies,
right,
and you receive the check.
Right.
That's all they cared about, the money.
That's it.
And you got to understand, most of these recruiters, they're not healthcare professionals.
That's right.
They're just regular people that are filling in this role short term just to get paid. The more nurses you get, the more of a bonus you get on your paycheck as well too, because you just recruited 20 nurses.
That's right.
So that's what it came down to, man. It was, like you said, it was wild.
Yeah, man.
It was wild. There's a lot of stories that we'll get into in future episodes, but for this episode, we're just going to talk about a few stories that we've been through. Do you have any stories in nursing that you want to talk about? We'll talk about one each.
Fake nurses. There's just some stories. Just the blood pressure cuff story made me think. So one time, this was kind of recent.
Yeah.
There was a young man that asked me, like, yo, I got to put a catheter in a woman. I need you to come help me out.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. No big deal. I'm like, yeah, I got time. No big deal. And if, for nurses out there that know, obviously inserting a catheter in a woman is 1,000 times harder than a man. 100%. A man is easy. There's one hole, boom, done. Mm-hmm. However, we get in the room, he's missing a lot of things. A lot of things. He comes in with his gloves and the catheter and nothing else. And I was like, baby boy, this is going to be very uncomfortable for this woman if you don't get what else you need. And again, there's a procedure that you have to go about inserting a catheter.
Did he not have like the kit? He didn't come in with the kit?
Bro, he came in with the catheter and his gloves.
Oh, hell no.
He was trying to raw dog, bro. This is crazy. I was like, my God, this is going to hurt.
Without any protection?
Nothing.
No sterile gloves?
Nothing.
No lubrication?
Bro, so I go help him. We get everything we need to get. We get back to the room. And right from there, I was like, all right, I got to hold his hand through this process.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm explaining it. And the patient, I made sure with the patient, she was all good with this, whatever. She's all good. She doesn't care. She just needs to pee. And so I was like, all right. So, listen, as far as I know, to get past nursing school, you got to, at some point, insert a catheter.
100%. It's like a check mark.
Right? We went through anatomy, correct?
Yeah.
So we get into this area, and I was like, all right, where are you inserting this? And he goes, I was like, I want you to be confident. Like, you've done this before. Also, I asked him, have you done this before? He said, yes. I said, all right, cool. I said, where are you going to insert it? He goes, right there. I said, that's the clitoris, bro. You're not you're not inserting this catheter in this woman's clit. Like, where are you inserting it? Right there. I said, no, that's her vaginal canal, bro. You're not inserting it in her vaginal canal, G. And this lady's like, bro, I'm uncomfortable. Get this in me, bro. And I was like, bro, go ahead. Because now we're just going to, let's just wherever you think.
Yeah.
Bro, it took this young man like 10 minutes, and I was like, I'm just going to do this, bro. Let's just do this. And then I was like, bro, if you've never done this, just tell me you've never done it, and we're going to go through it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say he's also a product of this whole pandemic thing where I think they were just spitting kids out.
Right.
Because, again, we just needed nurses in hospitals. But I think in that process, there was a disconnect in teaching and learning, and I think a willingness from some of these kids to want to learn too. They just knew, you know what, you take the nursing program, you get in, you get quick money, you know?
Yeah, I think we talk about the pandemic so much, and
I know.
Around that period of time, you have all these nurses student nurses in particular, who got hit during the pandemic where, everything's shut down. You can't go to school, no lectures, no clinical placements.
Right.
So now you're doing everything virtually online.
Right. That's another thing, which I understand.
So there's like a learning curve, would you say, or a gap? There's a gap.
There's a gap. A gap would be the gap. Absolutely.
And it's so hard if you're not getting that hands-on experience and you're learning it through like virtual courses and modules online. It's not the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's just not. So I think for these students that didn't get that ability like we did to actually be in the field and actually get the hands-on skill practice,
right,
it's going to be tough for them automatically off rip.
Absolutely. And I think when I understood that, even for me as a nurse that's able to teach other nurses to do certain things, I had to take a step back and was like, hold up. Like, they haven't gone through it the way we would have gone through it. They didn't. Like, when we were in school, we got our hands held and we went through it and we learned and, you know, we were fine. But again, like you said, these kids had to learn from home. Yeah. You know, so it's just a totally different style of nursing.
No, kudos for you for being that OG in that situation, helping them out. And because there's a lot of older nurses out there, no disrespect to y'all, but y'all just don't help.
No.
Y'all kind of snarl
my God.
Gossip.
Oh, my
he doesn't
God.
know what he's doing.
Right.
But you just got to take your time, because you don't want to have that turnover rate where this new nurse comes in, they feel like they're being bullied, and now they quit. Now y'all are short-staffed.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Now we're back in the same
Now we're back to square one.
Yeah.
It's harder work for y'all at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So just take your time with these new grads. Honestly, be as gentle as you can. Because I'm not going to lie, some of these new nurses that are coming out right now, they're a tad bit emotional.
Absolutely.
You know, in a different era.
And one thing for me, too, especially for those like senior nurses that are almost on their way out, one thing you have to remember, if you ever end up in the hospital, these are the people taking care of you.
For sure.
Like, you need to make sure they understand what they need to be doing before you're on your way out.
Definitely. You know? Definitely, man. No, that's a good story. That's a good educational story for a lot of nurses out there. But yeah, we're gonna get into the segment, honestly. So this segment is called Tales from the Trenches. I got a few stories here that were sent in by a few friends of mine, some that I found online. You know, just gonna talk about them, explain them. You know, I'm gonna talk about them.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna get your input on them.
Absolutely.
All right, so the first one we got here is actually crazy. This actually happened in the 90s.
Okay.
All right. So this person's, we'll keep them anonymous. So the story starts off like this. The one person I ever dropped on the job was my DON. DON is Director of Nursing, who actually was never a nurse. We seen the trend here.
Yeah.
This has been happening since the 90s, maybe even the
crazy,
80s.
Bro.
It's wild. Who actually was never a nurse. Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Get ready.
Get ready, because this is actually crazy.
Okay.
This happened when I was in my first year of nursing school. I got a job as a nursing assistant at a local nursing home. The director of nursing was very nice. She dressed a little odd for an upper manager. A couple of weeks in, and everything is fine. Then I get a notification the next day that I'm supposed to report to have my skill level assessed along with a few other new hires. We go into an empty room, and there is our DON, director of nursing, in a leotard. And here is where it gets crazy. Now, let me pause for a second. If y'all don't know what a leotard is, if y'all have ever watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and in this first season with the first Aunt Viv,
oh, that's so funny.
She takes that dancing class, and she's doing like the, you know what I mean? Yeah, that type shit.
That's some funny shit.
That outfit that she's wearing is basically a leotard.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And if you haven't watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, think of like a gymnast or a ballerina.
Right.
That kind of outfit.
Right.
She's wearing that. All right.
That's so funny.
So in a leotard, and here's where it gets crazy. She plays the part of a resident. She has a simulate doing pericare on her.
That's great.
So pretty much, a patient that saws himself, you got to clean them up, change their diaper or TENS or whatever the case may be. So you're cleaning them up, changing their gown. She tells me to transfer her from the bed to a wheelchair. While in the process of doing that, she licks me across the face, and in shock, I drop her. Boom. Like she just licks her on the face. Bro, that's disgusting. That is actually disgusting. I can't even imagine. So I drop her in shock. She tells me I need to be ready for anything. In this profession, you got to be ready. You got to be on your toes.
Oh, that's a crazy line.
Yeah, but not from my boss. The next guy, she grabs his crotch.
Crazy.
Now, it's getting crazy. Like, whoa, you grabbing his crotch now?
Yeah. Where was the Me Too movement in the 90s, bro? That's crazy, bro.
Insane. You got to be ready for anything. Yeah, but not from my boss. The next guy, she grabs his crotch. We're all really uncomfortable at this point, and I guess she sensed it, and we were all dismissed. A week later, I come in for my shift, and there's a lot of commotion in the front office. Police are there. Apparently, the director of nursing was working on a dead nurse's license and had spent the last 10 years going from place to place, job to job, using dead nurses' licenses.
That's crazy.
She had half a dozen aliases. Whew. I'm always very interested when I see a new DON to see if she ever pops up again. Maybe there's a reward.
That's crazy, bro.
Bro. Yo, R.I.P. But like, if you're using,
that's crazy.
I can't even imagine. The 80s and 90s were different, and you got to think about it like this, right? At that time, we haven't gone digital yet. We weren't even born yet, but they did not go digital yet. So everything's on paper.
That's right.
So it's so easy to falsify or even take other people's identification, or you know.
How do you Again, I wouldn't know, because as far as I know, we've lived in a digital age since in my adult years. But how do you even acquire a dead nurse's license?
Can't even tell you.
That's crazy.
There must have been, I don't know. She must have had a plug somewhere.
Bro, but the audacity of this woman to assess people's experience or what they can do when she ain't got none herself.
That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
And the part that was actually insane was, you got to be ready in this profession. You got to be.
How do you know?
Bitch, you ain't even a nurse.
How do you know I got to be ready?
How do you know when you haven't even done it yourself?
That's crazy.
Shit. But that's the one story, man.
Damn, had these kids in the trenches, for real.
For real, man. Like, I can't even imagine. So, story 2. This one, we'll end it at this story, but this one's a crazy one. It's a psych story for all the psych nurses out there. So I work in psych, and I got a good one. So people use the term riot often, but I've only ever had one actual riot. 5 adolescent big boys banded together trying to attack a peer, and it got messy because we only had 6 staff, including me, for the entire ordeal because we were short. The code lasted about 6 hours. All right, hold on.
That's crazy.
Once again,
bro.
short staff. This is a problem in nursing.
100%.
Especially in psych. Oh my. These facilities got to do a better job of, filling in the void. If someone calls in sick, find a replacement. Honestly speaking, because it could get wild and it get wild quick.
100%.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
So some highlights. Ooh,
some highlights, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She presented me with 6 points. Highlight number 1: I got cornered in the med room after 2 of them tried to jump in and attack me with needles and scissors. Mind you, there's 5 psych adolescent boys. Like, these are big kids. She's described me like 6 footers, some and big. So she got cornered in the med room after 2 of them tried to jump in and attack me, needles and scissors. So they separated. Right.
The leader probably said, "You two handle the east corridors. You two handle the north corridors, and I got this side." God damn. This guy got the.
They were organized.
They were organized.
They waited for a short staff.
Militant,
man.
Facts.
Yo,
they planned this.
100%.
It took months.
100%. Oh, that's so funny.
Number 2, they broke the fire doors, and all 5 assaulted another patient pretty bad. Damn. And police had to be called and sent away by our COO. I don't know what a COO is. I gotta look that up.
Like chief something.
It's
an officer.
Yeah, yo, Samuel, can you check that for us? What a COO is, and then just type in like healthcare at the end of it. But while he looks for that, who later called them again? LOL. So that's point 2. Point 3, had to empty the whole unit aside from them and put all the other patients, the ones that weren't banded together,
right,
in another day room with pediatric patients unsupervised. And these pediatric patients were under 12 years of age.
That's crazy.
That's
bro.
wild. Did you find it?
Chief operating
officers. Yeah. So I guess they handle like situations, whether they're negatives and try and find a solution to make sure it doesn't happen again. I guess that's what they focus on.
Right.
But yeah, they had to empty out the whole unit aside from them and put the other patients in a day room with pediatric kids under 12, unsupervised.
That's crazy.
Unsupervised. Bro. That's nuts. The next one, body slammed a tech. One of them body slammed a tech, like angle slam, WWE style, like suplex.
Dog, this is crazy.
This is insane. The next one is I had to hide under the nursing station and then drag a patient into a stairwell to hide at one point.
Holy.
This is World War III right now, man.
Bro, this is like a prison break, man.
For real. And then the last point that she gave was all 5 managed to get to the playground outside where they got a hold of a propane tank and tried to use it to blow up the hospital. At that point, my friend and I just sat inside like, well, that's it for us. We're going to die. Wild. The CEO eventually showed up after 6 hours and emergency discharged everyone. Damn. Here's the crazy thing about this story, right? It took 6 hours for this to end.
6 hours is crazy.
That's insane.
Bro.
That's insane. Like where's upper management?
Where's the police?
Where's the police at this point? You know what I mean?
911, bro.
Where's security? Like, yo, what's going on? What hospital is this?
You know? God. I need to know what hospital is this.
Yeah, just so we don't apply there.
You know?
You know what I mean? But oh my God, I can't even imagine. And it's crazy, like on an everyday basis in psych, you just never know what you're gonna get.
Never know.
So I want to ask you this actually before we wrap up. Would you say ER is probably one of the toughest specialties, or would you say psych? I have my answer, but I'm just curious to hear yours.
I would say they each have their difficulties. If I was to go psych though, I would go like the psych ICU. I think if you go psych ICU, for sure, because the people in psych ICU are just so, what's just so out of it that they're in a bubble room, they're by themselves, they're going crazy in there.
So in psych ICU, is it? So obviously we know in psych it's mental, right?
Yeah.
Your mental state. Now when you implement or when you add the ICU aspect, is it medical at that point as well too?
Apparently not, because at least in Windsor Regional,
okay,
they don't allow medical patients up there. So if you're psych and medical, you're coming to one of the other floors. So if you're in psych, you are just psych.
Okay,
like nothing else.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And I've been up there, and it's just like I walk in there, and I'm just like, this is too much for me, man.
It's funny because I did have a psych placement. This was probably in third year. Crazy enough, I don't know if you know, the only person I remember that was in my clinical group, her name was Josie.
Okay.
I think she was at your son's birthday.
Okay,
party.
I know Josie. Yeah,
she's in there still too. So she was in my clinical group. She is
psych. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a psych nurse.
She is a psych nurse.
Oh, we need to get her on this. I'm sure she got some stories
for days.
But I remember like it was probably the first day, and this is a true story, by the way. We go in and there's like a glass door where you see like a bunch of it's like psych patients that are like interacting with one another, but they're separated. The glass is separating us. So we're walking in. My clinical instructor at the time is, showing us different parts of the unit, and I shit you not, this one lady comes out the door and she starts banging. I know you, Junior. At this point, I turn. I'm like, yo, what the hell? And I'm looking at this person carefully. Mind you, I'm in third year nursing, so I'm gonna put it into perspective for y'all. This one lady, she was in my nursing program in first year.
Damn.
And it's funny because I don't know if she failed or if she just quit because she couldn't take it because it was just such a demanding program. But I didn't see her after that first year. Fast forward now, I'm in third year in psych, and there she is. She's banging on the door. Junior, you remember me? I know you. Da, da, da. And I don't think anybody in my clinical group, all I remember is Joe's, but I don't even think she'll remember this. But
right, they're
all looking like, yo, do you know her? And I'm like, oh man,
is that your girl right there?
Yo, bro, I'm sure somebody said that.
Oh, for sure.
They're like, yo, do you know her? I'm like, oh my God. So I kind of broke them in on how I remember her and where I know her from.
Right.
But man, it was insane. And then my instructor goes, yeah, we're going to keep you away from this section because we don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
But that was one moment. That was one incident that I remember when I was in psych. And yeah, that was insane. Like she was just banging on the door saying, sure, you remember me? And she was a cool girl when I interacted with her, you know what I mean? But yeah, I hope she's doing well now. But yeah, psych, it's not for the weak. You got to really be mentally tough.
It's really not.
Like, yo, it's wild. Yeah, so you're saying psych is probably
I would say psych only because, especially if we're talking psych ICU, because a lot of the time you just don't know what to expect. Like, and even like at Windsor Regional, it's gotten to a point where if you're psych, you don't even go through the ER anymore. So the ER staff don't even really have to deal with psych patients like that. If that wasn't the case, I would say, yeah, ER, because you see everything. But now, I just don't feel like that's the case, at least at our hospital. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I've been floated to ED. Like, you have so much support. Security's always there. It's kind of like, of course, there's some difficulties. I'm not taking anything away, but you're comfortable. You feel like you have support, so there's no stress in a sense.
Right.
You go to the psych ICU, bro. You walk in there and you're just like, what's gonna happen today?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I was gonna say that ER was probably the most difficult between the two, just because. And it's not so much that it's demanding. It is. Both of them are demanding in their own way. But I think in ER, you just don't know what to expect.
For sure.
You could have a patient that comes in and he may have a sexually transmitted disease. He may have a respiratory infection. You just don't know.
For sure.
They touch up on you. You may have you just don't know what you're going to get with these patients.
For sure.
And you're exposed. You're susceptible. You're like the first line that gets hit.
Right.
And I see a lot of nurses in the ER that sometimes don't wear gloves. They don't have their mask on. Oh, you had TB last week? Crazy. Okay, what? And then they don't even put on a mask. They continue on with it's like, yo, you ain't gonna put on a mask? Nothing. He just said he had TB. Like, goddamn.
Crazy, bro.
So it's why I think ER nurses think they're indestructible. Like
For
they're
sure
untouchable.
100%.
And I'm not trying to diss y'all ER nurses because I worked in ER for a bit and it's just different over there. But with psych, I think sometimes you know what you're gonna expect. You don't know what you're gonna expect, but you know you are gonna expect something. Right. So you're walking in knowing what you're gonna. You've dealt with this patient before last week. You know their cues. You know their trends.
Right.
So I think for me it's ER, but you made some valid points. I mean, psych emotionally drains you.
100%, and I agree with you. Like once you come out of psych ICU and you're on the regular psych floor, like you said, you know what to expect from certain patients. So it kind of, you just get used to it. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's why that ICU is just so wild to me, bro. Damn. Your girl probably still there waiting for Junior, bro. Junior, where are you?
Nah, man. I hope she's out of there. I hope she's doing good. But
yeah, man.
I don't wish that on anybody,
no,
man.
For sure.
It's different. You just don't have that support system there most of the time. And most of these individuals, they're frequent flyers. They come in and they get discharged. They come back and
yeah. You know what? I found more surprising at like my stint in psych. I think ED because, again, like you said, your first line when people come to the hospital, a lot of the time you're the first faces they see. When I had like a quick stint, this is more when I was a student, I was surprised at how many people I knew being admitted to the psych unit.
Really?
Yeah, so not necessarily like acute like psych ICU, but that felt like they had to be admitted. Like they weren't formed, they chose to be there. They had to be medicated. And I was really shocked by that.
Wow.
Yeah, that really surprised me, man.
It is a small town here, honestly speaking. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all.
What's crazy, the one thing was crazy is one of the people that I ran into was like at the time while I was in school was one of my bosses. And I was like,
wow.
It was like one of those, you know, when you just like look up and you're just like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
did y'all interact at all or?
No, just because I think in school they like pound like privacy and confidentiality and at least for us at the time it was you kind of don't approach someone you know unless they approach you.
Right.
So I was giving him the opportunity to take that first step and he didn't. So I respected that. Okay. And we never spoke about it at work either. Yeah, like it was never like he pulled me into the office. I think he had an understanding that as a nurse, there's certain things I just can't say. And I had an understanding that he wanted his privacy. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But that was like, whoa.
It's funny because I find that like in today's era now, mental health is just, it's expanded, right? Yeah. Like it's worldwide now. Before it used to be a thing that was never talked about.
Absolutely.
But now it's a common thing in discussion. Like
yeah.
Even nursing students, I feel like they use mental health as an excuse now.
Absolutely.
Just to get by. If they fail, they lean towards mental health.
Absolutely.
Which is sad to see, honestly. Like if you don't have depression, if you're not bipolar, don't even play around with that. Because there are actually people right now that are going through that and it's tough for them. So don't use that as a excuse. But man, that's interesting. But yeah, honestly, I guess we'll wrap it up for episode 2. Absolutely. Those are the stories, tales from the trenches.
Yeah, man.
Episode 3, we hope to bring that soon. Once again, subscribe, like, comment, share. Absolutely. Tell a nurse to tell a nurse to tell another nurse.
Absolutely.
You feel me? And yeah, that's about it. We'll wrap it up. We'll catch y'all in episode 3.
Peace.